Today I'm going to show you how to make the Dakota fire hole. First, you want to dig a hole in the ground about 1 foot or 1.5 feet deep. The deeper you dig, the more concealed your fire will be. Now you want to dig a second hole about 1 foot or so next to the first one. This is going to be the air intake hole, and for optimal airflow, you want it to be upwind of the fire hole. I'm going to use some milkweed to read the wind direction so I know where to dig.
This is a great video to watch. You may never need the skills, but it's always handy to know them, just in case you're in a situation that requires them.
Dig the hole slanting downward toward the bottom of the fire hole, because we got to connect them underground. Dig as far as you can with your shovel, and then what I like to do is cut a stick with a slant at the bottom, and then pound it through with a bigger log. And then bore it out a little bit more to make it bigger. This hole doesn't have to be that big. And then start your fire. This fire is very efficient at burning wood. Once it gets hot, it creates very little smoke. This is a good fire to use in very windy conditions, which is why the Native Americans used it in the prairies, also to avoid grass fires. Very efficient way to cook food and heat water, and it's hard to see this fire from a distance if you need to hide. How to make a fire when everything is wet. First, find a dead branch that has been sitting above ground. Pine works best.
The outside of these branches is going to be all wet. The inside of this branch is going to be dry because the rain hasn't soaked through the outside layer of the wood.
Now I'm going to split these pieces in half, and you can see the inside is nice and dry. Then I'm going to split these halves in half.
To get my fire started, I need fine shavings. I'm going to make what's called a feather stick.
I'm just slicing very fine shavings inside the dry part of the wood. Ideally, you want to make at least a dozen of these and have them ready to start cooking. But for now, I'm just going to make a couple and then make more as needed. I'm going to build my fire on top of these damp sticks. They'll eventually start burning after they dry out from the feather sticks burning. Like I said, you'll have a much easier time if you have a lot of these stockpiled and ready to go. Now that the wet sticks have started to burn, you can start adding larger stuff. Did you know you could boil water in a paper cup? Normally, if you have a paper cup, throw it in the fire, it's going to burn. But if you take your cup and fill it up with water, like from this questionable water source, put it on the fire, leave it there for a few minutes, you'll get a boil. Good to know because you never know what you might be able to find in a survival situation. Imagine wood that is soaked in oil or kerosene, and that is what fat wood burns like. You can find it in dead branches on pine trees, on the section of the branch that is closest to the trunk of the tree. It's great for fire starting, torches, and candles, and that's what I'm making today, are some fat wood candles. Or at least, that's what I call them. I kind of just make stuff up as I go sometimes, so you can call them whatever you want to call them. Anyways, the pine resin that this branch is naturally saturated in, like I said, burns a lot like oil or kerosene. So this will burn anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes. Great for some light around the campsite.
I always enjoy these educational outdoors types videos. I believe they're handy skills to learn. And they're not too complicated either that you just forget. And you never know, one day you might be out in a forest. It's getting dark and it's raining. It's very windy. And you need to boil some water. Now, using a combination of the methods that you've seen in this video, there's a good chance you'll now be able to do it yourself. And I'm absolutely amazed at how the paper cup doesn't burn when there's liquid inside it. That was the type of stuff we was never taught at school. But hey, maybe our teachers didn't know either. Anyway, that is all from me here today at the Viral Group. Make sure to submit your content for a chance to be featured.